Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. There are two kinds of people in this world. Those who build empires and those who watch them being built. Now I want you to take a moment, look at your life, your finances, your goals, and tell me something. Have you been building or have you been watching? Because the truth is, before the first brick of any empire is laid, before the business gets funded, before the breakthrough happens, it's all drafted in the mind. Your mindset is your millionaire blueprint, not your job. Not your background, not your degree, your mind. That's where it begins. And let me tell you, if your mindset is bankrupt, I don't care how many zeros are in your bank account, it's only a matter of time before your reality follows. See, success doesn't start when the world sees it. It starts when you decide it. It starts when you say to yourself, I'm not going to keep living small because they expect me to. I'm not going to shrink because my family's settled. I'm not going to make excuses because my environment is chaotic. I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am not my paycheck. I am the architect of what comes next. Because the richest land on earth is not Silicon Valley. It's not Dubai. It's not Wall Street. It's the graveyard. The graveyard, my friend, is full of ideas that never got built, full of dreams that never had the courage to ride, full of people who had the potential but not the mindset to unlock it. You better decide today, right now, that you will not be one of them. You were not born to watch. You were born to build, but you can't build a skyscraper with a shack mentality. You can't earn like a millionaire thinking like a minimum wage employee. Let me say it plain. If your thoughts are poor, your outcomes will be too, because life doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you're wired for. And that wiring, that blueprint, that's all mindset. You've been waiting for a miracle, waiting for a sign, waiting for someone to pick you, but God is waiting on you to rewire your mind. So I'm going to ask you this now, and don't answer out loud, answer from your gut. What do you believe about yourself? Do you believe you're worthy of millions? Do you believe you can rise above your surroundings? Do you believe that pain didn't come to destroy you, it came to shape you? Because if you don't believe that yet, it doesn't matter how many vision boards you make. It doesn't matter how many books you read or gurus you follow. If your mind doesn't believe it, your feet will never walk toward it. Let me tell you something Steve Harvey said once that shook me to my soul. He said, if you change your attitude, you change your altitude. Attitude is the foundation. But attitude is shaped by belief. And belief, that's the seed of every success. Listen, I've sat with millionaires. I've coached people from the trenches to the top. And do you know what every single one of them had in common? They didn't wait for the opportunity. They didn't wait for the funding. They didn't wait for perfect timing. They walked like they already had it. They showed up with belief before the proof ever came. Because when your mindset is rich, everything else catches up. You see, we're living in a world where people know how to spend money, but not how to think wealthy. Where people look rich, but feel empty. Where folks are chasing clout instead of cultivating character. But you're about to build something different. You're about to become something real. Because a millionaire mindset doesn't just count money, it creates value. It doesn't just attract wealth, it multiplies it. So let's break this down real plain. Prepare yourself. There are three kinds of people: the blamer, always pointing fingers; the dreamer, always talking but never doing; the builder, the one who takes full responsibility and lays brick after brick until the vision rises. Who are you? If you're tired of talking and ready to start building, then this moment right here is your turning point. The real millionaires, they're not loud, they're intentional, they're disciplined. They wake up with clarity, they move with conviction, they know what they want, and they won't stop until they get it. But that doesn't come from motivation, it comes from a decision to think higher, to stop replaying the same old limitation, to break that cycle of survival and step into design. Because life is not something that happens to you. It's something you build from the inside out. That's why you've got to protect your mind like your $1,000,000 asset. Because it is. You've got to stop feeding your soul with junk food. Those toxic conversations, those cheap distractions, that scarcity thinking. Cut it off. Every day, you're either programming your mind for poverty or prosperity, and you can't build a future when your thoughts are still living in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of outgrowing people who no longer serve you. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Fear doesn't go away. You just stop letting it lead. You start making moves anyway. That's the mindset of a millionaire. You move even when it's not perfect. You invest even when it's uncomfortable. You believe even when no one else claps. You show up because the blueprint is already drawn in your mind. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You've got to start visualizing like it's real. You've got to start working like you've already won. You've got to start speaking like you know who you are, because let me tell you something. If you don't speak power over your life, someone else will speak limits into it. And if you don't write the vision, your circumstances will write it for you. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to survive. You are here to build a legacy. And legacy doesn't start with inheritance. It starts with intention. So let's get practical. Wake up earlier. Plan your days. Budget your time like you would your money. Read more than you scroll. Work more than you whine. Be grateful, not greedy. Surround yourself with people who speak vision, not just vibe. The millionaire mindset is not about having it all now. It's about building something that lasts, something your children's children will thank you for. And if you think it's too late for you, let me destroy that lie now. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when KFC took off. Vera Wang didn't become a designer until her 40s. Steve Harvey lived in his car before he became a household name. It's not about when you start, it's about how long you're willing to keep going. Are you hungry enough to outlast the doubts? Are you disciplined enough to silence the noise? Are you bold enough to bet on you? Because at the end of the day, your mindset is either your greatest asset or your deepest liability. So I'm going to say it to you straight. Shift it. Shift how you speak to yourself. Shift how you see money. Shift how you respond to struggle. Because struggle is not a stop sign. It's a setup for your next level. And when you stop fearing discomfort and start embracing growth, everything changes. Your bank account changes. Your confidence changes. Your circle changes. Your peace multiplies. What happens when your blueprint gets aligned. So stop asking for easy. Start asking for excellence. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start walking like you are, because you are the CEO of your life, and it's time to start acting like it. You are the brand. You are the strategy. You are the asset. So don't let the world convince you that dreaming small is safe. It's not. Comfort zones are where potential goes to die. You want to win. Get uncomfortable. You want to lead. Start by leading yourself. And if today's the day you say, I'm done waiting, I'm done doubting, I'm done living beneath my calling, then I promise you, the universe will start to move, doors will open, ideas will come, people will show up, but only after you decide, only after you believe, only after you walk like the blueprint is already drawn, and it's worth building. So now it's your move. Your future is not built in a day. It's built in every thought, every choice, every step you take starting now. Because your mindset is not just a habit, it's your millionaire blueprint. And you were born to build. Now lean in, because what I'm about to say next might sting. The truth is, most people aren't broke because they lack opportunity. They're broke because they keep recycling old beliefs in a new season. They sabotage progress by romanticizing struggle, as if hardship is holy and wealth is wicked. They've been taught to mistrust money, to flinch at ambition, to tone down their excellence so others don't feel small. But tell me, why is it noble to be less than what you were created to become? Why is it humble to suppress the greatness that God planted in your spirit? You were never meant to hide your brilliance in the name of false modesty. You were meant to multiply it. Wealth isn't a sin. Poverty isn't sacred. And mediocrity should never be your inheritance. But hear me, it takes courage to unlearn. Courage to admit that your parents' financial patterns weren't healthy. Courage to rebuild your relationship with money from scratch. Courage to say, I don't care if this hasn't been done in my bloodline. I'm going to be the one to break the cycle. You see, the world doesn't hand success to the most talented. It bows to the most intentional, to those who who don't just hustle but strategize, to those who don't just grind but evolve. And make no mistake, elevation requires elimination. You're going to have to let go of some habits, release some people, walk away from some spaces that no longer fit your calling. You can't keep sitting at tables where growth is mocked and purpose is optional. If the conversations around you aren't pushing you forward, they're pulling you back. And you're too valuable to keep trading your destiny for acceptance. You want to know what separates dreamers from doers? Clarity. A dreamer feels inspired. A doer builds structure. A dreamer watches documentaries. A doer drafts blueprints. One is stimulated, the other is transformed. That's why most people never manifest what they say they want, because they've mastered emotion but neglected execution. Don't just feel the fire, follow it. Let it guide your routines. Let it restructure your calendar. Let it dictate what you prioritize every single day. And if you really want to tap into the mindset of a millionaire, stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, who can I serve? Because abundance flows where value is planted. People don't pay you for your presence. They pay you for your impact. So look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I solve? What do I create? What do I carry that the world needs? Because money is not mysterious. It's just energy, a reflection of value exchanged. And when your thoughts are organized, your skills refined, and your voice confident, you'll never chase wealth again. It will find you. But here's the twist no one teaches. Success doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's quiet, lonely, uncelebrated. Growth will cost you comfort. Elevation will expose your insecurities. And progress will test your patience. But these are not signs to stop. They are confirmations that you're no longer in alignment with smallness. Let the discomfort be your compass. Let the tension become your teacher. Because you are not just leveling up, you are ascending. And every version of you that tried to settle will have to die. Let it. Let the undisciplined you die. Let the excuse-making you die. Let the maybe someday you die. Because the version of you who owns the vision you crave, that person is bold, focused, unshakable. That person doesn't scroll for validation. They build in silence. They trust the unseen. They plant with purpose, knowing the harvest is guaranteed. And let me say this, especially to the one who's tired of being strong. Just because the world hasn't seen your breakthrough doesn't mean it's not in motion. Invisible progress is still progress. Every moment of discipline you choose, every temptation you resist, every tear you cried but didn't quit, that's equity in your future. So don't rush the process. Stop comparing your seed to someone else's harvest. You don't know what soil they started with. You don't know what sacrifices they buried under that success. But you do know this, you've been planted, not buried. And the mindset you're cultivating now is the root system for your legacy. Let it run deep. Let it anchor you, because storms will come. Setbacks will strike, but a deeply rooted mind does not collapse. It recalibrates. And while others panic, you'll pivot. While they retreat, you'll reposition. While they fear, you'll focus. That's the power of mastering your internal world before chasing the external one. Because it's not what happens to you that defines you. It's how your mind interprets it. Failure, not final, just feedback. Delay, not denial, just redirection. Rejection, not ruin, just red carpet rolled out toward better perspective turns adversity into advantage. But that takes mental agility. It takes emotional maturity. It takes the ability to say, this moment doesn't define me, but how I respond will. So raise your response, sharpen your discipline, tighten your vision, silence the noise. And for God's sake, don't you dare water down your dream to fit someone else's comfort zone. You were not born to repeat patterns. You were born to rewrite them, not to imitate legacies, but to create your own. That's what a millionaire blueprint looks like. It's not a bank balance. It's a mental fortress. It's a relentless conviction that nothing, absolutely nothing, will keep you from the life you were built for. Now go build it. You're still here? Good. That means something inside you is stirring. Not the kind of noise that fizzles after a few Instagram quotes, but the kind of heat that reshapes steel. That's purpose. That's awareness waking up. And now that you're awake, let me ask you something. What are you willing to give up to go up? You see, elevation demands separation, not because you're better than others, but because you've chosen to be better than you were yesterday. There will be seasons where you have to isolate, to innovate, to detach from the predictable and dive into the uncomfortable. And when that moment comes, don't apologize for it. Don't explain your boundaries to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. Don't shrink your vision so it fits in rooms that were never built for your expansion. And don't be surprised when the people you thought would cheer for your breakthrough suddenly go quiet when it arrives. Jealousy wears a friendly face. Sometimes it lives in your inner circle. But listen carefully. You were not put on this earth to be liked. You were not called to be comfortable. You were called to be effective. And effectiveness will often cost you popularity. But what's the point of applause if your soul is bankrupt? What's the use of followers if you've lost yourself? You want freedom? It begins in the mind. When your thoughts are governed by principles, not pressure, not trends, not the opinions of the crowd, you become unstoppable. Because let me tell you something, the real millionaires, the real game changers, they don't chase noise, they chase results. They don't flash success, they compound it. They understand something most people ignore. Small habits create big wealth. You don't need $1 million idea tomorrow. You need a millionaire discipline today. It's the early mornings, the quiet study, the email you send when you don't feel like it, the pitch you rehearse alone, the budget you revise until it makes sense. It's in the repetition, the consistency, the boring, unglamorous parts that no one claps for. That's where empires are born. Not in the hype, not in the moment, but in the maintenance. Because success doesn't scream, it whispers, did you show up today? And if you did, consistently, the results will compound until they're too loud to ignore. But you've got to be patient with yourself. You can't plant the seed and dig it up every week asking why it hasn't grown. Stop treating your vision like a lottery ticket and start treating it like farmland. Tend to it. Water it with discipline. Protect it from weeds, doubt, distraction, drama. And when the harvest comes, and it will, don't act surprised. Don't pretend you got lucky. You did. You were deliberate. You were focused when others were distracted. You were working when others were whining. You were learning while others were lounging. So when the overflow hits, walk in it with your head high, not with arrogance, but with awareness of what it cost. Because when you build something from the ground up, every brick has your fingerprint. That's ownership. That's authority. And that kind of authority doesn't fade when markets crash or trends shift. It's rooted in your mindset. And that mindset is recession-proof. It doesn't matter what the economy says. Your internal economy is thriving. But listen, don't confuse humility with hesitation. There's nothing noble about dimming your light to make others comfortable. There's nothing virtuous about playing small when you were called to lead. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand your intensity, your silence, your grind. Let them call you obsessed, too serious, too focused. But remember, too much is what people say when they've decided to settle. And you didn't come this far to be almost successful. You came to dominate, to rise above the noise, to rewrite the rules, to show your kids, your community, your future self what's possible. So give yourself permission to be excellent, to think higher, to expect more, to set outrageous goals and back them up with outrageous commitment. Because audacity backed by consistency is what separates the iconic from the invisible. Do you hear me? You weren't born to blend in. You weren't created to be casual. You are a force. And when you realize that, everything changes. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop entertaining gossip. You stop wasting time proving your worth to people who couldn't recognize it if it slapped them in the face. Because you don't need their permission to prosper. All you need is alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your vision. When those four are in sync, you become dangerous in the best way. Your energy shifts, your posture changes, your voice gets clearer. Your decisions become surgical. You don't need hype. You carry conviction, and conviction is louder than noise, stronger than hype, more durable than motivation. It becomes your rhythm, your breath, your backbone. And one day when the checks clear, the business grows, the stage appears. You'll look back, not in disbelief, but in deep respect for the journey, because you'll know none of this happened by accident. It happened because you built it. Thought by thought, action by action, sacrifice by sacrifice, mindset first, wealth second, always. And now that you've come this far, after everything you've unlearned, after every lie you burned to the ground, let's make one thing clear. You are no longer available for mediocrity, not in your habit, not in your speech, not in your relationships, not in your identity, because once your mindset levels up, your life has no choice but to follow. This is the blueprint they never handed you in school, the curriculum they skipped, the sacred code written in the language of belief, discipline, vision, and execution. And now it's yours. You didn't stumble into this moment. You were drawn to it, prepared for it, pressed for it. You've been forged in fire, that heartbreak, a lesson in resilience, that layoff, a redirection toward purpose, that betrayal, a spiritual detox, that season of silence where no one clapped, no one helped, no one noticed. That was your soul being sharpened in solitude. So don't regret the struggle. Don't despise the pressure. Diamonds aren't born in comfort, they're born in chaos. And right now, the version of you rising from the ashes isn't just stronger, it's strategic. Because now you know the real war is always internal. It's not about your followers, your job title, or how many people recognize your name. It's about one thing: ownership of self. And once you own your thoughts, you own your choices. Once you own your choices, you own your results. And once you own your results, you become untouchable. You don't flinch when life throws curveballs. You pivot with precision. You don't pray for smaller storms. You prepare for larger territory, because now you understand something most people never do. Millionaire living begins in $1,000 moments. That hour you spend refining your pitch, that morning you chose prayer over panic, that week you budgeted instead of blaming the economy. Those were millionaire seeds. And while the world was distracted by flash and filters, you were building something real. You weren't waiting for luck, you were laying bricks. You weren't begging for validation, you were birthing vision. You weren't scrolling, you were sculpting your future. And now the results are inevitable, because no force on earth can stop the person who has already won in their mind. But let me be clear, wealth is not just financial. Wealth is freedom to say yes to your calling without asking for permission. Freedom to walk away from toxic environments because your peace is non-negotiable. Freedom to raise your kids in alignment with your values, not the noise of the culture. Wealth is waking up excited, not exhausted. It's living on assignment, not autopilot. It's being so full of purpose that you overflow into others. And that begins with one non-negotiable truth. You are the asset, not the business, not the car, not the logo or the brand or the marketing strategy. Your mind is the well, your spirit is the engine, your vision is the compass. So invest in you like your life depends on it, because it does. Read the books, take the class, heal the trauma, rewrite the narrative. Surround yourself with those who expand your thinking, not those who pacify your fear. Because the most expensive thing you'll ever pay is the cost of staying the same. And I get it, growth hurts. It hurts to say no when your body craves yes. It hurts to delay gratification when your pride wants praise. It hurts to keep showing up when the results are invisible. But do it anyway. Do it with trembling hands. Do it with no applause. Do it with faith as your only fuel, because faith moves before the miracle. Faith builds before the blessing. Faith is the contract and the work is your signature. So sign it, own it, walk in it. And when the doubts creep back in, and they will, you remind yourself, I've already decided. I've already decided that my destiny is non-negotiable. I've already decided that I will not die with my dreams. I've already decided that fear is not my master. I am. Because here's the ultimate secret. Confidence is not a gift. It's a byproduct of consistency. You don't wait for it, you create it. You build it through repetition, through discipline, through doing the hard things over and over until the impossible becomes automatic. And when that happens, when your mind is no longer a battlefield but a blueprint, then wealth becomes your inheritance. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. You embodied excellence. You prioritized legacy over luxury. You did what others weren't willing to do for as long as it took. And when the spotlight finally hits, if it ever does, it won't define you because you were whole before the world noticed. That's the millionaire mindset. It's not loud, it's anchored. It's not flashy, it's rooted. It doesn't need to be seen, it needs to be built. And now you've got the blueprint, so no more waiting, no more shrinking, no more asking for permission to be brilliant. From this moment forward, walk like you've already won, speak like your life is a prophecy, act like your vision is guaranteed, move like your calling is urgent, because it is. This is your time. You've heard enough. Now build. Let me leave you with this. The blueprint is now in your hands. And whether it collects dust or becomes the foundation of your legacy, that's on you. You see, most people want elevation, but they refuse to pour the concrete. They want skyscraper results with cardboard commitment. They want to stand on stages, but they can't stand still long enough to master the fundamentals. But you're different. You're still here, still locked in, still hungry. And that hunger, that's not random. It's divine. It's evidence that greatness still lives in your bones. You've just got to feed it with discipline, with clarity, with intention. But stop waiting for some magical moment to begin. Start where you are, use what you haven't, and move like you mean it. Because the game doesn't change when the money comes in. It changes the day your mindset gets aggressive about your future. That moment you stop begging life to be fair and start training for everything you prayed for. You say you want abundance, prove it by the way you wake up. You say you want legacy, show it by the way you lead your home. You say you want success, make it obvious in the way you treat time. Because time, oh listen carefully, time is the only currency you can't earn back. Every second you waste entertaining distractions is a deposit into someone else's vision, not yours. And let me tell you something hard. If you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to build theirs. And they'll pay you just enough to make you forget that you once had one. You were never meant to live on autopilot. You were meant to live on assignment. And that assignment, it demands sacrifice. You'll lose sleep. You'll lose fake friends. You'll lose parts of your identity that were tied to old beliefs. But in exchange, you'll gain purpose, confidence, clarity, and peace that money could never buy. Because when your mind is truly aligned, success becomes inevitable. Not overnight, not without setbacks, but without question. And that kind of certainty, it doesn't come from wishing, it comes from wiring. Your brain doesn't care what you say, it cares what you rehearse. So rehearse excellence, rehearse courage, rehearse the version of yourself that refuses to shrink when the pressure hits. Because pressure, that's the test. That's the bridge between average and iconic. Can you keep going when no one claps? Can you keep showing up when no one sees the work? Can you outlast your emotions long enough to see your results? Most people can't. That's why they don't. But you will. You'll keep going, not because it's easy, but because you understand the cost of stopping. You understand that a poverty mindset isn't just about money, it's about fear. Fear of failing, fear of standing out, fear of succeeding, and then losing it all. But let me be clear, fear is a liar. Doubt is a thief, and excuses are chains. You weren't built to be bound. You were built to build, to design a life that outlives you, to construct systems, visions, and values that multiply long after you're gone. But construction requires demolition first. You've got to tear down every lie they told you that you're not enough, that people like you don't make it, that success is for the chosen few. No, success is for the committed, the ones who keep going, the ones who do the work, the ones who silence the noise and double down on the vision. And now that you've got the blueprint, all that's left is action. That's the part no one can do for you. You can borrow inspiration, but you can't outsource consistency. You can listen to motivation, but you can't download mental toughness. You've got to build that. And it starts the moment you stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. There will never be a right time to change your life. The right time is now. Start the business. Write the book, pitch the idea, send the email, ask for the sale, set the boundary, fire the fear, whatever it is. Do it afraid if you must, but do it Because done is always better than delayed, and movement creates momentum. And momentum is magnetic. Once you start showing up for yourself consistently, the world begins to respond in kind. Opportunities appear, connections align, doors open, not because of luck, but because of leverage. You leveraged your belief, you leveraged your focus, you leveraged your God-given potential, and the return, exponential. That's the truth. The world doesn't advertise. They'll show you the results, the cars, the homes, the lifestyle, but they won't show you the nights of doubt, the early mornings, the ignored calls, the missed parties, the lonely grind. But I will. Because I want you to understand your greatness will cost you, but it'll never bankrupt you. What will bankrupt you is living a life that's beneath your potential. What will bankrupt you is dying with your brilliance still in you. So don't just leave a will, leave a trail of impact, of influence, of impossible things done anyway. And when people ask, how you did it, you won't say, I was lucky. You'll say, I rewired my mind. That's the real flex. Not wealth without wisdom, but wealth that was intentional, power that was principled, success that was sustainable, because it was built on mindset first, results second. So now, my friend, the mic is yours. The blueprint is clear. The world may still be sleeping on you, but you're wide awake. So build like you're already funded, move like the door's already open, work like heaven is watching, because it is. And whether they clap or criticize, keep, because one day the same people who doubted you will call you visionary, but by then you won't be looking for applause. You'll be too busy building what they said was impossible.